recording now. So if you can break it down, superpowers, what is this going on?
Sure,
Yeah,
I'd be happy to. So apparently there are some astrological and astronomical shifts that are happening right now.
mm,
And different people are, you know, characterizing it in different ways, but it's all the same phenomenon. Essentially, we're going a couple of things. We're going from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And also there's like two planets that are supposed to come really close together. I think Jupiter and something else, and they're supposed to look like they're kissing. But it's a
mm,
400-year phenomenon. Um, and the last time it was visibly seen or something like that, it was known as the Star of Bethlehem, right? It was a star in the night sky when, what despite whatever your beliefs are, was the astronomical phenomenon that is supposed to usher in new beginnings and rebirth and healing, et cetera, and new possibilities. And as far as superpowers, um, if you follow the Bible, there's some supposed to be where God curses his people and puts them in bondage for 400 years. So we're supposed to be being released from that. And, and Black people are supposed to download their superpowers today. I'm feeling it. I grew a chin hair overnight, but I don't know if that's a superpower, but you know, I'm manifesting something. But yeah, so but astrologically and it's a powerful time.
but why were people thinking they were going to get superpowers? And I feel like, yeah, so,
I got superpowers. I'm a lumberjack today. You know what I'm saying?
Because people don't understand symbolism, bro. This is why they read the Bible and take everything in the Bible literally.
Right.
That's why they hear everything that people say sometimes and they take everything literally. People don't understand symbolism. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? That's the problem. They take everything that comes out of a person's mouth as literally being what they saying it is. You know what I'm saying? Understanding that most Christians don't understand that Jesus spoke in parables. He never
Mhm.
told a true story, so to say. Everything was a story with some type of meaning behind it. That's how most of these things go. The Egyptians, the symbols on the wall, they're not literal things. They're symbolism. They're to represent certain things in nature that represents certain characteristics that people that pertains to humans and the things that we're supposed to take on and things that we're supposed to look to as inspiration and stuff like that. People take everything literally. This is why we have people walking out here. We have the walking dead. Their eyes are open, but they don't see shit. They just hear and they run with it, and that's the problem. That's the problem.
Mhm.
Motherfuckers thought they was gonna really start flying out here, and that I'm just like, bro, what the fuck is going on, bro?
bro,
Like,
It's funny. Did
and
y'all watch
everybody's not
Lovecraft
going.
Country? Have
Yeah,
y'all watched
definitely.
Lovecraft Country?
Yeah,
nah.
I watched
It,
it.
with your permission, Pat, I'd like to send a link to a Facebook group. It's like people who watch Lovecraft Country, and now that the show is off, we go into all of these different themes. It's really it's a
I,
very
I
it's a
want
great to be a part
I
of.
want to I want to get in tune with that because that was a it was a lot of symbolism. There was a lot of things in that show, which was kind of crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I want to see other people's
Absolutely.
perspective on it because a lot
Yeah.
of it was kind of weird, but
Hmm.
but you know,
No, you're
um,
right.
it's a lot of things behind that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It like so both the show Lovecraft Country and before that Watchmen, like sci-fi, and like, comic books, they're not my genre, but I was told to watch these things. And besides, like, what Cypher is saying, the subtext is really powerful stuff. And you know what I mean? If you haven't watched it, I won't create any spoilers because I think people should go into things without, expectations or or being told what things are about so they can interpret for themselves. But both the subtext in Watchmen and the subtext in Lovecraft Country is some really powerful stuff. It's about reclaiming our power, reclaiming our magic. Um, and yeah, it's not literal, like we're gonna start, like some of us gonna start flying, but you know what? Some of us can fly. We just have to remember.
I mean, some of us can do. I mean, magic is real. You know,
Mm-hmm.
voodoo, all of these other things that that we were told to hate and fear are things that actually freed us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not in tune with that because we're following other people's doctrines and other people's gods and other people's way of life. This is why we continue to be in bondage. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. Another one that I don't know if everybody's ever watched, Black Lightning. I just got into that series on Netflix. That's another one.
That show was
That's
dope.
another one that has.
That show was dope.
That's another one. Yeah,
Cypher,
Black
you
Lightning got
dropping
a.
science. You dropping
Yeah,
science right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, Black
Tell
Lightning is
everybody to
a.
watch Black Lightning.
Yo, Black Lightning is popping. Like
Yeah,
the symbolism and the storyline of Black Lightning is like, yeah,
1000% on point.
Mm-hmm.
on point, bro.
Yeah.
Word,
Yeah.
word. Black Lightning is something that we should watch. You should definitely watch Black Lightning. Word,
Mm-hmm.
word. But go ahead, finish too.
Yeah, may I share something that I read? Um, this is from the Black Divine Feminine Reawaken. Today is the day, happy great conjunction day. This is a huge day of new beginnings. Saturn and Jupiter come together as one with Aquarius at 0 degrees, amplifying the energy of something fresh. It's time to come home to yourself. Take everything you learned from 2020 to move forward. Use the energy of today's great conjunction to wipe clean all expired soul contracts, beliefs, fears, and doubts. 3 things to do to take full advantage of this vortex opening. Number 1, make your intentions today. They will last for generations to come. Number 2, question everything and reprogram your mind. Take inventory of the beliefs and thoughts you have been choosing this year. Are they working for you? You will know the truth by how it feels. Number 3, pay attention to what has been rising up in you over the last year. What really matters to you now? Where do you want to take action and move ahead in 2020, 21 and beyond? You will thrive in this new paradigm when you stop to see the sacred gift in all of your life experiences. See yourself as divine and lean on your own divine wisdom moment by moment, not on the illusions you will surely be fed with love. And the person that wrote that, her name was Milena. So what Cypher is saying is it's time to, it's time to set your intentions. Again, I don't want to spoil the subtext of the 2 shows we were just referencing, but it's a time, there's really a cosmic vortex, an alignment, a planetary alignment, and a vortex opening, right? Where the possibilities happen in that time. And I don't care what your faith is, it's basic science. Just like the Bible story of finding Jesus, right? The 3 wise men. Before GPS, before Google, they were able to locate a baby in a manger, right? They didn't punch in his address, right? And they were able to follow the same star that's in the sky tonight is the same star, whether it's symbolic or metaphoric or not a true story or whatever it may be. That's still our reality in this dimension, no matter how people interpret it. And that same star is in the sky tonight. And so a vortex or a what is it called? A new dimension is possible. You know how people say we're going from 3D to 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th dimension?
Yep. Like 5D or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, we're supposed to go into the 5th dimension in this new age. And you guys remember the song Age of Aquarius people used to sing?
Mm-hmm.
It really is cosmically a shift has happened, and new possibilities are open. So if you set your intentions today, and some people call it naming yourself, if you name yourself today, and that's what the superpowers are, right? You can actually determine and name yourself with this new energy.
I
I mean,
agree.
no matter if you believe the story of Jesus or not, that's something to the story because that story is being reciprocated over and over again in every other person's, like most other people's religions and other cultures. It's just another name of the person that they're following. Especially when you
Absolutely.
go to the Egyptian walls, it's the same thing with the story of um, Osiris and Isis and Horus, and that's the same story that's written on the walls as the story of Jesus Christ. So story of Jesus Christ. So it's something to that story at the end of the day, if it's symbolic or not, if it's real or not. So, you know, like she said, it's just something that to follow, you know what I'm saying? Something to look forward to and something that you can apply to your life. You know what I'm saying? Because we do hold the power at the end of the day, man. And I tell everybody, if you want to look towards people who freed themselves, look towards the Haitians. The Haitians never lost their spirituality. Why they refused to accept the oppressor's gods. And if you haven't read the book, read the book, The Black Jacobians, which is a powerful, powerful depiction of true depiction of slavery in Haiti. And it play by play, it outlines everything that they went through. And it specifically said that they refused to accept their oppressors' gods. And that is what freed them at the end of the day. Their spirituality that they kept and the spirituality, whatever ritual that they did in that canyon that night, and they woke up that morning and it was fire from there. You know what I'm saying? And this is our problem. We continue to follow the oppressor's way. And I hope with this age of awakening that people realize that these people are duping us. These people have continued to dupe us. These people are putting on a facade. They're putting on, this shit is like the fucking Truman Show at the end of the day. If you watch the shit that they're doing, it's just like they're insulting everybody's fucking intelligence, bro. Like, and it's not even like that. I don't even think they're trying to hide that shit anymore. It's just like they're gonna follow us regardless. Like they're being sloppy with it. Like it's not even like they're even really trying.
Reach
they're
on.
being sloppy as shit.
Need the tambourine.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's crazy. It's
like
so
this
crazy,
$600 quote unquote relief check, right? You know what I mean? Like that is, it's a couple of things. Not only is it a joke, not only is it a vast insult, it's also a mechanism, right? Do you know what I mean? And finally, like I tell my white friends, I'm like, yeah, now y'all are finding out what Black people have always known. White people, number one, white people are crazy. Number two, white people are devil.
Here you go. Come
Right?
on.
Right? You know what I mean? The lie. You know what I mean? I don't refer to look at that. I don't refer to white supremacy. I call it the lie of white supremacy. I call it the lie of white supremacy.
Bring the piano out.
Yeah. I call it the lie of white supremacy.
It's so,
and it's time for all of those, all of that bondage to fall away. And that's why we got to be thankful for what has transpired in this year in a lot of ways.
Yes, in 2020, bro, people were asleep.
Yeah.
They were stagnant. People
Black people, everybody, not just black people, but white people. Everybody was sleeping.
Obama had niggas sleeping.
Yes, he did. They woke.
Yeah.
Sleeping to the point now where, like, Loaded Luck said, what y'all could, everybody's focusing on Trump. What dudes is not realizing that him being elected was a godsend, because at the end of the day, no matter if you was for him or you was against him, that nigga made everybody wake the fuck up and pay attention. Like if you wasn't paying attention before,
you had no choice but to.
You had no choice but to pay attention to what the fuck was going on. No matter what side you was on, you had to pay attention.
I wouldn't call him
God. That was the
problem. You ain't going too far with
Not
that.
a godsend. I call him the
I ain't
Antichrist.
calling him God sent.
Nah.
I mean, I feel like
That nigga was a God sent, bro.
Nothing God sent. You wilding with that one, brother.
He was
Nah.
a God sent.
Antichrist.
saying is that he exposed a lot of things that maybe a lot of us
lot
may have
of
read
things that
and
people
may
took
not
for
have read. And
granted.
I also think that there was a movement that was going on. And I mean, I just came in halfway through what you guys were talking about, but there was a movement where Black folks were truly forgetting where they came from.
Mhm.
A lot of Black people, a lot of our own people were truly forgetting what our ancestors did for this country, how our ancestors
Right.
Mhm.
Speak it. Speak on
our
it.
ancestors
Mhm.
slaved for this country. And I think that,
Mhm.
you know, people were saying that they were quotation mark woke, but they were not woke. They were really sleeping. And I think that, I don't know about the whole God sent. I think maybe you trying to say that God sent him because we were waking up now. But I
I'm-
feel like my people
I'm not saying that
for
he
this.
was a present to everybody. What I'm saying is that him being in office was something that needed to fucking happen. It needed to happen.
country needed
It
him because
needed to happen.
another thing that Black people needed to understand is that racism, we kind of started thinking, oh, racism doesn't exist. I mean, it was something that happened 400 years ago. I'm sorry. It happened 400 years ago. You know, I had a lot of conversations prior to Trump getting in. It was 400 years ago. Y'all get over it. Y'all get over it. Y'all, you know, we literally watched Black people get lynched in on TV. We watched Amari run down the block and get killed. Like they aired that video. You know what I mean? This
Over and over.
People watched him in broad daylight, begged for his life, you know, and these are things that weren't. The revolution actually was televised, whether we want to believe it or not. Watching those Trump rallies and watching how racist white America
was.
And
That's all it was.
People soulless.
America.
And people, and it was so,
A lot
and
of
it's
us
so
both-
exposed. It exposed it so much, so fucking much, to the point where people, they could not deny it, that motherfuckers is willing to go back to sleep right now.
Yeah.
They are willing to go back to sleep. That shit, this year was, those 4 years of Trump was so fucking real that people are dying to go back to sleep right now.
Yeah.
But that's why COVID,
People,
that's why
they are so happy that Biden is in office and they think shit is gonna change. That they, people, this is how the brainwash, how crazy the brainwash is. People was talking about, people were cool with the $1,200 check, but they hated Trump. Now that Trump is out of office, I'm seeing people really sit there and justify a $600 stimulus check. Like they're really justifying this bullshit.
I don't know. I mean, I work in the government, so I kind of have to be careful about the things that I say, or you know. But I do believe that people they misinterpret what the Democrats and Republicans stand for, because they're all basically at the end of the day on the same side of the table, whether we want to believe it or not.
Same bird.
They
Two wings of the same bird.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you damned if you do and damned if you don't. You know, you want the $600 check because you said that your family can't eat. You know, they give you the $600 check. It's like dangling a carrot in front of your eyes.
Well, what's
right?
$600 going to do for anybody?
It's not going to do absolutely anything.
Okay.
But guess what? Black people, yes, I work in the government. Yes, I sit at the table. I had this conversation last week on somebody else's live. I sit at the table, and sometimes I am the only African American at that table, but Black people, we need to wake the fuck up. Like, it doesn't matter if you're the only Black person in the room. You got to speak up about who you are and what you are, and be proud of who you are, and be proud of what you are, and be all right with being prepared for this. We were prepared for this pandemic. We were prepared for this way before we even know it. My mother was on welfare when I was little, right? My mother, half of my life. So there's nothing that I don't know how to do to make, or me, even my husband, there's nothing that we don't know how to do to rub two sticks together and make it work. Entrepreneurs were made out of this, right? People say, if you go on Instagram, including me, everybody is selling. You can buy anything you want to. Anything you want to on social media, anything. You can buy drinks, you can have it delivered, you can buy it, because guess what? Black people, we are creative, and we need to stop.
Absolutely.
But we were waiting for somebody. This wasn't drawn out of us. That's because we've always been doing this. 125th Street was there. Downtown Brooklyn. Remember, you go downtown Brooklyn, those books was being sold. Like, these are things that were taken away. Those things were taken away from us because they gentrified our neighborhoods and we let them do it. Now, when you walk up on 125th Street, and I'm not in New York, but when I go back or I see pictures, you walk up there or you walk in certain parts of Harlem that was gentrified. What is it doing right now? Tell me. What is it doing? It's going right back to how it started.
That's why this is such a powerful time, because I could talk to y'all for hours. Y'all know the word apocalypse, right? Do you know what I mean? Like COVID globally was apocalyptic, and most people think only negative connotations about the word apocalypse, right? But it's actually a time of enlightenment. So that's what y'all are speaking on. One of the things that came out of these past 4 years, of course, the entire continuum, especially of America, has been all a lie. That's all they do is lie. But what became, like Cypher's saying, what became very stark, stark relief, was the fact that these people, that's all they could do is lie. They can't tell the truth. And they're not here to serve the quote unquote American people. Can I share with y'all what I wrote? Today, getting back on the topic of the quote stimulus check, before I read what I wrote, look at America is a slavery nation, and it has a slavery economy that has not changed. Like everybody was to a certain extent.
It's a debt system.
It's a slavery, and this is how it's functioning. And COVID did nothing but increase that chasm between the haves and have-nots, and cripple the nation to the point where the Confederates want the slavers, and the Confederates, they want their nation back, right? You know what I mean? They want to return to slavery, not that we ever left it, right? We in that slavery by another name. But I wrote this: if this doesn't prove that America is still a slavery nation with a slavery economy, I don't know what does. $600 pandemic quote unquote relief is the congressional equivalent of pig entrails and cornmeal at Christmas, a slave's portion, every one. All other nations that they might deal with racism, they might deal with white supremacy and the lie of white supremacy, but every other nation practically in the world, what we call first world or advanced or blah blah, have been able to respond to the pandemic and take care of its people, except America. So I've been breaking down to some really smart people for the longest time. I'm like, that's because America's operating system is slavery. It can't respond. And a special reason why it can't respond is because the slavery economy and the slavery nation don't want us to get shit, don't want Black people to get stuff. So they can't take care of white people because they can't afford to let us get anything. And so you go from other nations will be able to give anywhere like $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month to people. They got less GDP than America, right? But we're able to respond because they're not foundationally slavery nations, right? Do you know what I mean? And so you go from a $1,200 check 9 months ago to $600. They did that for a couple of reasons, because the pressure was there, because they pad this whole stimulus with everything else that they want, right? That's the real insult. Not only the $600 check, which is not enough to buy groceries for the month, right? I might spend $600 on tampons, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Depending on, whatever. So anyway, sorry. But it's also a mechanism, because number one, none of this is relief for us. Nobody could do shit with $600, but it's just enough that since it can't pay a bill, people just gonna go out and spend it. And you're gonna make the Amazons richer. You know what I mean? It's not enough to pay a bill. And the reason why they made it less than $1,200 is so you can go out and spend it. That's it.
And put it back into the economy. But what's so crazy, not to cut you off, I'm sorry. No, what's so crazy is I work in retail, right? I'm a store detective in retail. And my experience in this whole mall, is I wouldn't even think that there was a pandemic, like that there were any people wasn't working. Like it's so many people in here spending, especially our people. Like the mall has been flooded for the past 2 weeks on a Monday. Today is Monday. It took me about 30 minutes to get from the entrance to my fucking store because the
Wow.
mall is so crowded with
Where do you
people.
live?
Like people are still spending.
But where do you live? I'm gonna give
I
you a
live in
little.
Florida.
Yeah.
I'm
All
in
right, I'm
Florida.
gonna give you the flip side. I live in Virginia in a predominantly suburban neighborhood, and our malls are not full. That speaks volumes. It hasn't been full. It hasn't been full. I've been to the mall almost. I've been going to the mall maybe every other day to pick up something because Target is at the mall. And it hasn't been full. Like you could literally get in and get out within 10 minutes if you need to get something.
At this mall, and I'm seeing nothing. I'm seeing black
So
people
that
galore.
that also speaks volumes to how we spend our dollar, right? How we support and spend our dollar, what we teach our kids on how to spend our dollar. Because I mean, we're all victims to. I'm a victim to it. You know, my daughter has toys that she wanted because her parents can afford it, right? But this should have been a Christmas that some kids just got a little bit less than they had before. Especially so now we're only doing, maybe if I would have gave her 10 presents, I'm just saying we're only doing maybe 2 or 3 because we're giving away. I have 2 bags downstairs. When you guys jumped on, we were giving away. We're giving away toys to kids that are less fortunate, because even though she's 4 going on 5, she needs to understand that there are people that are less fortunate than her that can use these gifts or can use these toys. But that also goes to show you how we spend our money and other cultures keep their money.
All right, we're gonna cut it there. We're gonna jump into the first topic because we've